Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Star Trek Voyager, Season 5, Episode 1, Night. The Season 5 premiere. So, I wouldn't say, hate is a strong word. I really did not like this episode. It was awful. I said in my last review how I would much rather have seen that one actually be a two-parter, because this one did not do it for me. The opening sequence was really great, where we see Captain Proton, which is Harry and Paris doing a holodeck novel, and it's great. It's very Flash Gordon-esque, and I'm a huge fan of Flash Gordon, whether it's the 1980s movie or going all the way back to the old serials. I love Flash Gordon. So I was totally down for that. Especially the Doctor showing up and they have to redo his color scheme and stuff like that. I was totally into it. The main plot for this is I think they said it's been 2 months or something. So Voyager is in the void. It's this expanse of space that's completely starless. And they don't really expand on that very much. Are they actually in some sort of a cloud and they just can't see anything? It's just pitch blackout. There's no stars. They've been in it for 2 months and they need to go through it. It's going to be 2 years to get to the other side of it. So already, this is a huge amount of space. And, they don't really explain why it's starless. But anyways, after 2 months, the crew are just going stir crazy. And how, it's just, there's no planets, there's nothing. So there's no, away missions or anything like that. There doesn't seem to be any sort of a threat or anything. So basically, just the ship's just cruising along, not doing anything, trying to conserve power. And everybody's having a very difficult time. So I'm guessing after years of being in space, everybody's just accustomed to seeing the stars. But it kind of reminded me of you hear stories about people in submarines and getting cabin fever and stuff like that. But because they can't see stars, and I think Chakotay says if it weren't for the sensors, they wouldn't even know they were going warp speed because you can't see the stars. And it's I didn't realize that they had relied on those visuals so much. But I feel they could have come up with something. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just so introverted. I'm being inside sounds great. But them not being able to see stars and kind of messing with them seemed a little too much for me. So they end up finding a bunch of theta radiation, and eventually all of the power goes out. Oh, and Janeway has become just this recluse. She refuses to talk to anybody. And again, she's dealing with it's almost like seasonal depression almost, where because there's no stars, because there's nothing to do, everybody gets really sad. So anyways, so the power ends up going out, and they're attacked by these aliens. And of course, now everybody's super excited and jumpy. And it turns out that these aliens are being killed by another group of aliens who are using this space as a dumping ground. And this alien race is a very, very technological race. And it seems like they're actually more advanced than Voyager. And their society produces a ton of theta radiation. And so to basically, this guy's almost like a janitor, and he takes it all, comes over here and dumps it for so it's really cheap to just throw it away, but he's getting paid a lot to take it. And they even show him hey, if you do this and if you do that, you can clean it and completely redo your civilization. And he's like, wow, you're right. And then I'd be out of a job. No thanks. And he leaves. So already it's almost more of an environmental type episode. And then eventually they come up with the decision to use this vortex to get out of the void, basically cutting 2 years off their journey, and destroying the vortex so that way this alien race can no longer use it as a dumping ground. And Janeway's okay, all of you go, I'm going to stay in the shuttlecraft and blow it up. And then everybody commits mutiny and they're no, we're not going to just leave you here. And it just drags and drags. And I was just why is this even happening right now? And I could not get into it. It just was not the right episode for me. And of course, they all stay together. The first alien species attacks the other one to kind of draw them off. Voyager blows up the void, gets out, cuts 2 years off their journey, and then they can see stars again, and everybody's happy. So, which at this point, it's been 4 years. It was a 70-year voyage. They cut off 10. They cut off like 2 months in the last one. They cut off 2 years in this one. So I feel like we're down to almost like a 60-year voyage at this point. Like, they've completely taken off at least 10, 15 years. So for those who have seen this one, what did you guys think? Like I said, I really did not like this one. So let me know what you guys think about this one. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for Drone.